Did you get it? Did you get the shot?
I think I got the shot.
I wanted to put him on. I,
Oh
this
shit.
this is the
This
only
is
way
so
we can
cool.
start Westcott Wednesdays with Will Cadena. There's no other way to do it. I want to make sure you got the shot. Don't let me go on your Instagram feed and it's like
I got the shot. No, I think you were picking your nose, but I got the shot. I think I got
I,
the shot.
I try to keep my hands below. Like I always got to make sure I'm like, wait, am I extra zoomed out today? Am I zoomed in? Am I sitting here with my feet kicked up?
You suck it in, lean towards the
Stuck in, yeah,
camera,
I
make
got
sure my
it.
double chin.
Bad posture. I'm like, good thing there's not a camera coming over here because they'd see me. I'd be hunched over like this. Will Cadena, what's going on, man? And what's going on to everybody out there joining us from the vast expanses of the interwebs? You're tuned in to Westcott Wednesdays. Yes, that's right. In 2024, Westcott is going to be joining us on Wednesdays to bring us wonderful content like the content you're about to see. Today, we're talking about lighting unveiled. If you guys do not know of Will, I'm going to give him an unofficial, unsolicited introduction. He's one of the most high energy, talented people in the industry. You can't help but love him and his work. He really is a dynamic personality and talented photographer to boot. So today we're going to be exploring creativity with umbrellas and small lights. How did I do?
Amazing, man. You rocked it. You nailed it. I don't know about liked by everyone, but just in your heart and teddy bears as well. So
Loved, feared, respected. Pick
that's
one.
it. Yeah, I'm honored to be here. I didn't realize we just went live before, so that's cool. So hello to everyone. B&H, thank you for having me on here. Westcott, as always, we love you guys. Thanks for having me on here. And the goal here today, I think I want to treat this more as a more of a discussion than anything else. I think it's more of a theory. Yes, B&H is providing some amazing content for you guys for free, which is awesome. So anything like really technical, you can easily find it from their videos in the past that they made. So let me just share my screen. Derek, jump in there, guys. If you have any
Go
questions,
for
just
it.
reach out in that comment box. Let's see. I should be a
Yes, I'm going
pro.
to double down on that, Will. We want this
Yeah.
to be interactive. We want you guys to get what you want to get out of it, out of it. The loud people in the chat are the ones that get fed. They get their questions answered. They get the information. So if there's something in particular you guys want to ask, now is your time. If you watch this on the replay on YouTube, it's great, but you don't have that access to Will that you have right now. So take
Yeah.
advantage of it.
Yeah. So, all right, let me just share my screen with you guys. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. I should be a professional at this already, but all right. All right. So we got to give a special thanks to Westcott. You know, obviously they're providing this for having me here, actually in my home, and I think I literally had maybe an hour and almost 2 hours before I had to go catch a flight. So I had to make sure I was home for this. All right. So that's one thing. So guys, if you guys are interested in learning more about Westcott, there is a website which is kind of like a college, like something to learn more about what the pros do, the Westcott Top Pros. I am a Westcott Top Pro ambassador way before the Flash system came out, which is crazy seeing the transition how it was before and to now. So definitely Westcott came a long way, and I'm officially using their products fully, not only the salt boxes and the umbrellas, but also the flashes. So, and again, all the stuff I'm showing you guys is pretty much in camera. When I say that, it's like 90% or 95% is in camera. I'm not really big into post-production. Nothing wrong with that. I just like to just get it as much as I can in camera. So, like anything else, you got to know what is the history? Why am I on this B&H? What is it? Live stream podcast? Or
Yeah, we
Eric,
call it virtual
virtual
webinar.
workshop. Yeah. So who am I? I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and then officially I'm based out of Manhattan, New York. I'm a commercial advertising photographer. I do have several other team members in my umbrella, which we do anywhere between corporate America to all the way to family sessions. And also, we run one of the largest bodybuilding leagues in the Northeast. So we do all the fitness shows for it. And just in that division alone, we have about 21 of them in there, which is pretty cool. And that business actually we built during COVID. So moving forward, if you want to find out more about me, where you can find me, you can scan that QR code if you're watching it off your Apple TV or wherever it is. If not, take a screenshot with your cell phone, and when you click on the link, it'll take you straight to where you can find me. All right. I'm sure some of you guys, if you've been to my workshops, you might have seen this examples, but we're gonna elaborate a little bit more on it. So again, we're using anywhere between small lights to speed lights, so all the way to strobes, and modifiers anywhere to small umbrellas, so all the way to like 7-foot umbrellas. So looking at this photograph, Derek, let me ask you, what do you think? What kind of day you think it was? Was
Oh
it?
man, it's a good
Hmm.
question.
Was it
You got.
warm? Was it hot? Was it rainy? Was it
Uh,
sunny? Was it
I'm gonna
cloudy?
say I'm trying to look in the background. I'm gonna say overcast, boring, overcast, cloudy day.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a little overcast. We're gonna go to the next image. Yeah, same thing. But I want to show you guys exactly what kind of day it really was. And again, it it wasn't the best day. So I'm gonna show you a lot of behind the scenes videos for you guys. So before people get crazy on social media on YouTube, why is he wearing shorts on a wedding day? Blah blah blah.
I was praying that was a real wedding. I was
So
hoping.
yeah, so no, so this I realized during Imaging USA. I was just teaching there a few weeks ago. Majority of my shoots is either through a blizzard or it's raining or something in some way. So for this one, it was actually after their wedding. So this is a post shoot because during their wedding was raining. So they were like, "Well, we want to get more shots. We were limited. She was late. I mean, you know how it is. When it rains, traffic happens in New York City. As we know, Derek, when there's traffic in New York City,
Mhm.
you're not going anywhere in the car. So we set up another day shoot, and of course, that morning when I woke up, it was raining. So I'm not dressing up. Again, I'm not being in front of the camera. They are. So I'm behind the camera, and that's why I was wearing shorts. But let's go back to why we're here. So, how do we create this imagery on a rainy day? So moving forward, lighting, obviously. So the biggest thing for me when I shoot is I'm always trying to look for dark areas behind the subjects. So again, they wanted to make it feel like they were outside. They wanted to show the location. And for us to do that, we had to find like a little nook in the area. So we ended up using two flashes for this location. So one over here was the FJ400 with a switch medium. All right, so it's an octa. And then we set up another flash in the back, which is the FJ200, which it had a gel on it, a chocolate gel, which I love using from Roscoe. It kind of manipulates a little bit more of its like sunset or sunrise feel to the image. This could have been a lot more less obvious, but again, we were under the gun and we only had like really an hour to shoot at this location. So yeah, that's how we ended up getting the shot. Again, I typically use anywhere between minimum maybe one flash, so all the way to I think the max I used on location was 12 flashes,
Oof.
depending on the kind of assignment that I'm doing.
Well, I want to jump right on this because we did already have a question, and I have always struggled with this as well. So
Yeah.
Frank is joining us on Zoom. Huge thank you to Frank
What's
joining in,
up,
getting a
Frank?
question in. What is the key difference to umbrellas and soft boxes? I have both and I use both. Just curious, why and when should you use an umbrella versus a softbox?
Great question. So it's great because we're in an industry that we could put 5 photographers in a room, give you the same exact gear, and at the end of the day, is we're going to create something completely different from each other. So personally, for myself, when it comes to more location photography, when I have the resources, I like to use the Octa because it gives you more of an equal tone throughout the whole image, meaning specular highlights on the subject. So you're probably gonna get a little bit more of a specular highlight. Specular highlights is like something really bright that you see in the skin. Like if you went to light me, maybe you could probably see it in zoom, but the brightest part for me that's hitting me, it's around here. All right, can you see the little highlights? So you're probably going to see more of that when you use an umbrella or using something that doesn't have an inner diffuser. The octa that you see here, or the bigger soft boxes, they have an inner baffle or inner diffuser, which once the light hits it, it diffuses it even more. So that's kind of like the basic understanding. Again, there's a whole physics and science behind it. But for me personally, when I travel on location, when I have to get on a plane, I travel usually with deep umbrellas. And I'll show you some examples why I travel with them later on. All right. Hopefully I answered that question. So,
Wonderful. Yeah.
all right. Frank, if I did, we could set up we could set up a FaceTime, and I'll be happy to show you some differences. So when next time you see me at the next conference, if you like. All right. Any other questions besides that, or no?
Nothing for now. No.
All right. All right. So moving forward, so over here, again, they wanted to get really outside shots because we couldn't get it during the day of the event. But she wanted to have something like feel like kind of like you're peeking in, seeing it from distance. So in this scene, we actually set up multiple lights. So we set up not one, two, three, four. Four lights we set up for this scene. And why do we set up four lights in the scene? Do you need to have all these lights? Absolutely not. But again, that day we had a little bit of time, and that day I wanted to get a little bit more creative. The gel in the back gave it a little bit more of a hairlight from the back, make it feel a little bit more warmer. I'm not sure if you could tell from the screen, but it is a warm image. This actually, because it was raining, it was covering them from the rain coming down. As we know, ladies like to spend money on their hair to get it nice and perfect. So we wanted to make sure we had that covered because we still had like another 20 minutes of shooting time. Also, we had a flash, this even fired as well, which gave a little bit of a hair light, a little bit of fill. And we have another flash over here, which is the sawbox, the FJ200, all right, and that gave the fill in the front and also created a catch light. And also we have another flash in here that, as you can see, you can probably see my leg right over here, but we put it right in here. For example, it was lighting up this area. And the reason why we lit that area up is because we don't want it to go completely black. I print a lot, and we print a lot of wall art. The wall art piece is kind of, for example, right behind me, as you can see. My clientele, they love to order wall art. So as not many, I'm not sure if many know, but when you go into printing, there's a lot of contrast in that paper, and also you start losing the shadow. So we have to make sure things are lit very well. So that's the kind of like the basic understanding on how we got this shot. Yes, can you do a one light? Absolutely. But again, as photographers, we like to get creative, and we like to make our lives a little bit more complicated. So what else is new?
How many lights do you normally start? Do you go in with a specific setup in mind, or do you try to do you have an approach you take? My approach is lazy. Less lights, the better. If I use light if I need to, or if they're like, hey, I want a certain look like this, I have to. But it takes a lot of work because you're building out. This is more like a cinema approach to lighting, where you're building out a scene piece by piece.
Exactly. So yeah, do we have to bring all the stuff out now? I'm very fortunate that I have multiple team members that we go out and we photograph these, and we do shoots. Minimum for on-site location like this, for post shoot, I usually have anywhere between 3 to possibly 5 team members on site for this. Now the question is like, Will, I don't have a budget, to pay people or whatever it is. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I have been on site on locations doing shoots on my own. But yeah, it's just like anything else. When you have a whole team, it makes life a lot more. It makes it a lot easier. So going on location, I already knew we had to move quick that day. I knew exactly what gear to bring. I knew exactly what location that I wanted to shoot. But there's also audibles. So the client really wanted some shots outside. I wasn't really expecting her to do these kind of shots outside. And this is where kind of experience comes into play. So this is why I incorporated that umbrella on there to cover her from the top. I'm going to elaborate on what you said, Derek, in the next 2 more slides, because it goes into my theory and what I do. So same shot outside, but the difference is we actually had one FJ200 aiming at them. It has a honeycomb in it, which is kind of like a snoot. It really directs the light where you want it to go. And now the question is, why would you want to use a snoot for it? If not, then the light goes everywhere, and then your attention will go to the columns more. But with the snoot, it really focuses exactly where you want the light to go. And also behind them, I set up another light, which was another gel that created that warm tone to it. And all we did in post-production, we actually took away a little bit of the saturation and brought down the exposure about, I think it was about 5 to 10%, and that was the shot. And of course, we cleaned up the dress. So, and again, this is why it's important to have an assistant to help you, because sometimes, when you're outside, you're on the move. You don't have time to like run to the light, change it, move it around, bring it up and down. So,
Wild.
All right. Here's another shot from the inside. Of course, I don't have the final shot. But if you really look at the lighting, how it's set up, I usually do this a lot. If you guys ever go to museums and you see how the paintings are like back in the 16, 17, 1800s, you'll start seeing the evolution, how things really change. So if you really look at the images, the paintings, the lighting is always coming down from a certain angle. And it's usually about like anywhere between 45 to 90 degrees coming downward. So that's how I usually set up the lighting. And also you have to be very mindful on what your subjects, for example, the bride, when they have like long eyelashes, that angle of the light will play a very big part creating catch light. And that's one thing I'll be teaching actually at WPPI coming in the next few weeks at one of the booths, how to really create impactful catch lights. So
Well, we had a question going back to the image of them outside, and you have the one light source, the giant, I don't know if it was an octabank or just like there we go.
This one? Okay.
Overhead. So Joey, who's joining us on Vimeo, is asking what that upper strobe is for. What kind of look does that give? Where does the light fall? How is that being used?
So let me see how much I could zoom into this image. All right. Again, this is the raw image. Do you see a little bit of the hair light coming down? You'll see the specular a little bit from the top. It just pops it out, just the hair. Again, it's not like it's making a dramatic change to the image, but where you really see the separation is that rim lighting with the chocolate gel. So it's just filling in some of the shadows into the shot. Now, could we have used it? No. But again, it's all, particular taste. You see a lot of portrait photographers like in studio, they use a lot of, the hair light, which is great. And you could visually see it. But again, we want to make it a little bit more natural in that feel. And again, it's your discretion. If you really want to make it stand out, then bring up the power more. If you want to make it not so much attention to the top of the hair, you want to power it down. So that's more my way of shooting. Again, I wanted to make this more of a pop. It feels like more of a sunset from coming from the back. And as you can see with the catch light in her eyes, and the catch light is actually from this softbox over here. All right. But again, it's all personal taste. Guys, this is my process. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. Learn the rules and break them. You could get crazy. Some of the best imagery and video out there, in not only in the industry, just globally, are people that broke the rules. And that's the goal. As long as you know some of the fundamentals and you understand how it works, from there, get crazy. Back in the day, they used to say, oh, you can't do, hair light from the top and overexposure. It looks like crap. But people do it. And it made some big covers, some cool Vogue magazine shots. So again, at the end, I know I'm going off the tangent, but again, just have fun, get creative, and it's okay to make mistakes. The thing is, don't make expensive mistakes. That's going to cost you money and also time, and also your reputation, most importantly. And that's one thing that when we go on the field, we always make sure we get the bread and butter shots that we need. And from there, if we have the time to get really creative and something out of the box, that's when we take a step forward and try something different. But at the end of the day, we have to make sure we deliver what the client originally saw and why they booked us. So that goes into more of a business mindset. And that's one thing for me and also from the rest of my team members, it's very important. So 92% of our clientele is referral based. That's why we're not really that active on social media and going on these other sites promoting our business, because we rather have the referrals because they're already educated in what we do. Make sense? A little business tip.
That.
Pro tip. All right.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So again, and this is where knowing your equipment plays a very big part. And I see this a lot at conferences. People don't know how to use their equipment. And look, we've all been there. But you need to test this stuff out at home or at your studio before you even get on a job site. The last thing you want is to lose the attention span of someone. Just like you guys. Guys, you paying attention? Oh, you paying attention? You see how I'm shocking your mind? You're paying attention right now, right? Because I called you out. So it's the same thing. Again, you don't want to lose the attention of the client because you're too busy looking at your technology because you're trying to figure things out. Okay. So yeah, All right, let's move forward. I know how much. I don't know how much time we have, but I'm gonna try to get as much as we
You're
can.
good. I'll be here. I'll be snapping and
Okay,
keeping
cool.
it
Let me
simple.
know. All right. So, not sure if you guys remember this, but begin with the end in mind. This is something I learned in school. I think probably, I don't know, maybe third grade, fourth grade or something. I think it's something like that. But beginning with the end in mind. So, this is actually my two assistants I have on site, is that we had to pre-plan everything beforehand. This is actually at a wedding on like location. The client didn't want to take pictures anymore. They wanted to really enjoy the party. And instead of bringing the clients, the bride and groom there, and trying to move lights back and forth and trying to, make this all work, I brought in my team in there. Hey, go up there. Once we set up the lights how we want it, go be my test subject to make sure 110% this is what we want. So, and this was this is how we executed it. The client literally went up, we shot them. It took no more than 15 seconds, and that's not over exaggerating. They looked at each other, then they kissed, they looked towards the light, and they got to run off and go enjoy the party. And that's the thing, when they don't feel like they're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, I don't want to take any more pictures. You're ruining the experience for them, and that's what they're gonna remember. Again, they will not remember. They won't see the images that day, but they're gonna remember how you made them feel. So for us, that's a very important case. So this is like the before and after. So the same exact thing. So for this shot, we actually took about, I think it was, we set up 8 flashes, speed lights in this scene because it's wood. As wood and carpet and black, it absorbs a lot of the light. So when you really look at this image and we zoom in, again, I think this is low res images. Yeah, these are low res. But you will really see the detail. So we set up one light on the floor, shooting up to the ceiling that's hitting the back of it. If not, they will blend into the background if this was completely darkness. Then we set up one light over here. I got to make an example, a diagram of this, but it was pointed strictly to them like a snoot, as I showed you before with another speed light. We pointed another flash over here to light up this area, and we pointed another flash shooting up this way. This is why we have some of those highlights. And again, it was quick. We had a couple of different looks, different scenes, and they ended up printing some cool wall art pieces besides their main album. All right. All right. This shot. Derek, or people out there, let's get interactive. Where's this chat? I can't find this chat in my screen, of course. All right. What do you guys think? What kind of day was it? Was it windy? Was it like, I don't know, it's raining? Was it like snowstorm? I want you guys to think. Look around.
Somebody else chime in. One of the viewers. I want somebody to chime in. Somebody who's been active, who's
Yeah.
quick on the keyboard. I don't want to be wrong again. I can't be wrong for the next hour.
You're never wrong. That's
I'm
the
never
best part
wrong.
about this.
It's ruining my reputation.
No, you're good, man. Look, these days it's hard because there's so much, there are great retouchers out there, there are great compositors, especially now with AI technology. You just can't really tell what's real and what's fake these days.
I know.
So
I'm looking at the backdrop and I'm like, wait, is it real? Is this a trick question? Are you I just want to say everything is boring, dull, overcast light, and then you're adding, but then I'm
yeah,
like, is he going high speed sync? And
yeah.
is he overpowering the sun?
Yeah, no. So this is actually a real location.
Joey said brewing storm.
Brewing
Looks
storm, yeah.
looks like toward sunset with storm coming.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, so let me just show you. I don't know if you guys recognize the bag company, but Shimoda, I got to test out this bag out there, and this is the reason why I'm so happy I had this bag out there. And guys, it was raining, stormy, windy. Yeah. So of course, raining. What else is new? Where I lost myself. Where are you? There you go.
Should have known.
Yeah, it was raining. So luckily, we had an amazing subject model, and she's also a photographer, which saved my butt, and she knows how to pose. And she's also a judge as well. And she was daring. I mean, over here, this is how crazy it was. I had to put garbage bags, plastic bags over the lights. That's how bad it was. So to make this
Wow.
all work, it's like, wait, now the question like, well, how did a flash, how you eliminate them if there was a plastic bag? I'm like, you could get a plastic bag from pretty much anywhere. Well, let me take that back, depending on the state, because I know they're charging and they're trying to eliminate
Don't say
bags.
that in New York. You
Yeah,
know better.
I know better. Yeah. So we had to do, it was an audible because that morning when we woke up, and again, it was raining, it was pouring. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. We go to Iceland, and of course that day it was that bad. So we stopped by a gasoline station and we picked up some bags, and it, worked out in our favor. But yeah, so I like to set up the lights, and again, these we have one FJ200 and one FJ80 version 2. So I try to be compact when I travel, and the light stands I'm using, they're like nano stands, so they feel very compact. I know everyone always asks, oh, how do you travel? And I'm looking to share more on my social media and my YouTube, so you can see exactly how we travel. But yeah, the lights are really indirectional. I never have the lights near my lens or my camera, so it's always like either 45 to all the way to 90-degree angle, always. And I always make sure the subject on the model, her nose is always pointing towards that direction where the main dominant light source is coming in. So the good thing about this location, I was also teaching in Iceland as well for this. So the students actually got to see how quickly we actually moved. And that's the biggest thing. You can have all the time in the world to set up a shot, but when you're under the gun, whether you have an event planner rushing you or, or the weather or traffic, that will really show your experience how quickly you really work. So this is why I said definitely have to train at least once a week. Try to allocate at least 30 to an hour a week to train understanding your equipment. So this shot over here, again, we use an FJ200 on the far left and an FJ80 on the right, and this is the shot that we got. So the question might come up like, Will, why do you have this flash pointing upward? And the reason why is because if it was pointing more straight on towards her, that light would have hit the bag more. It would have blown it out. In other words, it would have made the bag more overexposed. Because if you look at her tones and what she's wearing, they're a lot darker. So really understanding on the light direction and how much exposure you want to pump out will play a big factor in that. Again, I have an assistant there. I did have someone just capture some quick BTS video on a cell phone. So that's why some of the video footage, it doesn't look the best, but hey, it's something. So at least you understand how it works. And then we had another flash right off of camera right at the when I cropped it to light her up here. And it wasn't high, it was actually low. And the reason why, because if the light was higher, I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse or no?
Yeah, we can.
If the flash was higher, it would create more of a shadow on her. Now we could analyze the photograph and be like, well, it's great, but there's a lot of shadows. I don't like these highlights. Again, it's personal taste. At the end of the day, it's how you interpret it and what do you want to showcase out there. For me, I love harsh shadows. I love specular highlights. That's more my style of shooting. Yes, maybe you should shoot like that when you're photographing a family portrait session and we have a subject that's maybe 80 years old and 90 years old. You're gonna see more of those what's a nice way of saying it? Not imperfections, it just, with age, things tend to drop down. So
Accessories.
thank you. Accessories, yeah. So again, it's personal taste. So, and this shot again, we had an extreme right and extreme left, the lighting, and that was it. All right. And the reason why the subject and the bag really stands out is because we're shooting into a dark area. This whole scene is black. So anything you put colorful in front of it it's just gonna stand out. All right. And again, here are the lights. We have one here and one here. And again, this is, we haven't done anything, we haven't recharged this. You see the shadow, no big deal. But again, when the light is coming from above, it's going to create that.
Was it purely a decision to use just the reflectors without having any big modifiers? Was that because of the weather, or was that?
Correct. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And this is why it's a discussion, because you're bringing out certain things that I wouldn't even think to bring it out. Yeah, the reason why I use the reflectors is yes, you get more power with the reflector. If I would have used a modifier, I would have lost power. depending on the modifier, you might lose anywhere between a stop to possibly 3 stops of power. But also for this location, when you saw the video, it was very windy. So what will happen with no one holding the light stand? With the wind, it'll push it, it'll fall, and that's it. You have no more flash. And you possibly might break it. So the reason why I used this, it was because of the reflector, because it was windy. And as you can see, I put the bag on the stand, and even that, the stand was doing this. It was, I wish we could have caught it on video, but that's how windy it was. But it also worked in our favor because, you know, with the flowing of the dress. All right, so this is, I got your, I'm trying to do more BTS on site. So this is me photographing with the team, bride and groom, and we had to make it work. We were all running late, and this is actually the BTS. And again, sometimes I say crazy, stupid things just to bring out a little bit more emotion for the subject. So I'm constantly shocking their minds, so they're not overthinking, oh my God, we're about to get photographed.
Try to give her kids, don't let her give her kids, go, go. I want to feel some emotion, move, grab her, push her, love it, feel it, grab it. I don't know what we're doing. All right, let's get it. There you go, love that smile. All right, cool. Everyone's good? All right, let's go.
Yeah, like sometimes I say things that it just doesn't make any sense, but it's fun because then they're not thinking about being like so tense in front of that camera, you know? So sometimes saying stupid things, it might work. Sometimes it might not work, but again, and this is actually the shot. All right, where I lost it again. Why is that?
How do you ever try to act like you're shy? I love when you try to, like, you get shy and nervous. I'm like, come on, man. Look at this. That's awesome. And that's the moment we just saw.
That's the moment we just saw. So the only thing we did to the shot is like, again, we just lost the sunset. We just saw the sunset, and Catarina really loves sunset stuff, and you know, William, that's the name of the bride and groom. They wanted it, but we lost the light, and I don't know if you could see, but you see some of these streaks. The streaks are actually going right behind them, so you can really see where the light is coming from. But we actually set up a flash there with the gel in a way that it will kind of hit it will make it feel like it's a sunset shot. So this, we actually set up one light in the back, right behind them. We set up another flash over here, which was a speed light, just a kicker, and then we set up a camera on camera left coming down, and you can see the shadows. And again, guys, this isn't like in camera. Now, you know, yes, you're gonna see her hair blown out, whatever it is. Again, it's not retouched. Obviously, for the final image for the wall art, this is all retouched and taken care of. But yeah, sometimes we can't use a modifier. We can't use an umbrella. We can't use a saw box for it. And sometimes we have to, you know, sacrifice certain things. So yes, you're gonna get a harsher shadow, but it is what it is. Honestly, we as photographers or artists, we're constantly looking for those imperfections on images. For clients, they're not looking for that. They're actually looking for this cool, epic shot. Yes, we have a certain clientele that, you know, can you make my skin really soft and stuff like that? Yes, we'll do it. But again, for artists, we are very anal when it comes to stuff like that. And this is the shot. You know, we moved the dress back and forth, and that was it.
We have a couple questions on this. One involving with the veil and the dress, or you know, whatever it is in the foreground. Is that the veil?
Yeah, so that is well, believe it or not, yeah, it was a veil. It wasn't that long. I shoot with Canon. I'm a mirrorless shooter. This is actually shot with a Canon R6 version 2. Yes, people are like, well, why?
Which lens? Because we did have a question on the lens for this.
Yes,
as well.
I'm getting into that. So one of my favorite lenses of all time is the Canon EF 11-24 f4. So that's one of my favorite lenses. I don't know. I love the feel of the wide angle. It feels like you're there, but you have to be very mindful because you could easily distort or destroy the image because of the distortion on certain parts of the lens. So because of that wide angle feel to the lens, we actually brought the veil near the lens and start moving it around. And that's how it creates that dramatic look to the image. Now, can you do this with a long lens? No, you can't really do it with a long lens because with a long lens, you're compressing the shot. So you start losing that dramatic feel to the image. All right.
So how big was the veil? I have the same. Joey's asking, is the veil really that long? How big was it? I want to know what's effect, I guess, and what's real.
Yeah, let's play back. What's the one of benefit?
Try to give her kids, don't let her give her kids, go, go.
You see, like,
not that long.
No, it isn't long. It's probably no more than maybe 4-5 feet from it.
So wide angle mixed with perspective.
Yeah, it's perspective, wide angle. And also regarding perspective, guys, as you can see for this shot, you notice how William, the groom, is leaning and she's leaning towards the camera a little bit because we have to cheat the perspective. Because mind you, I'm shooting very low. And when you shoot low, all right, and then shoot upward, what happens? What's the first thing that goes big? What's the first thing that gets distorted? Is the bottom. So we want to make sure that by them leaning towards the camera, the first thing that hits the lens will be their faces. And this is why, let me play it again.
I want to feel some emotion. Move, grab her, push her, love it, feel it, grab it. I don't know what we're doing, but it looks good. Here we go, love that smile.
So there, I haven't make the team. So that's 1124, all right, and that's R6. And someone asked, like, what is this little thing on there? It's an Insta 360. Thank you, B&H. You guys always have that when I need it. And I broke it like a few days before, and I ordered another one, and it came the next day. So thank you for that. But yeah, it's really close. It's not far at all. I mean, that's shooting them. So that's one of the benefits of shooting wide angle lenses. Doesn't mean to go run out and buy a lens and go shoot a job with it. You still need to learn how to use it. And that's the most important thing, because there's going to be certain distortion areas that you can't even fix it in post-production. Well, let me take a step back. You never know. With AI these days, it might be able to fix it. So I have, so just keep that in mind. So when you pick up a wide angle lens, Canon just came out with the RF 10 to 20 millimeter. It's in back order. Come on, Derek. I know you know people there. They got to send me this lens, man. I don't know what's going on. I paid for it. I paid for it. But this one replaces the 11 and the 24 f4. Now the other question will pop up like, well, I like to shoot 2.8 or 1.2 or what? Again, for me, I don't shoot less than 5.6, so it really doesn't matter. So we use majority of my lenses are f4s anyway, and I do have 2.8 lenses depending on the kind of assignments I shoot with. But again, that doesn't play a change of how it's shot. All right, if that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Because I can't see the chat box.
No, nothing right now.
All right, cool. All right, let's move forward. Okay, here's another video. So this is on location in Vegas. We were doing a campaign shoot for a nutrition company for like vitamins, and they're part of the bodybuilding community. So here it is.
Give it to me like.
So FedEx is one of my other divisions. So he wanted like a cool like ambassador team shot of it. This is probably the worst time of the day to shoot. If you saw that video, it was the worst time of the day to shoot. It was, I think, around like 2 o'clock, 1:30 about. And this is actually a real flare from the sun. I mean, you could see how dramatic, if you look on the right, that shadow is, how harsh that shadow is. And that's all sun. And as a fill, again, seeing the format, we had two FJ 400s far right, and just filling them in. And they were full power. And so we were maybe about 10 feet away from them. And again, I'm using a wide angle lens, and this is the shot that we got from it. So, and for anyone that wants to know the settings, it's shutter speed 200, f16, all right, ISO 100. Now the question is, Will, why did you shoot at f11 or f16, f22? Those are typically my numbers. That's more my style of shooting. There's nothing wrong about shooting wide open. This is more my style of shooting. I like to shoot that way. I shoot a little bit more traditional shooting because I come from the film days. And that's the shot. All right. And again, there was no modifier. This is straight on reflector, hard light. That is it.
All right, I'm going to ask, what is the typical, like, do you have a signature? I know another Westcott Top Pro, Ian Spanier, has the Spanier stack.
He's the man. Yeah, I love Ian. He's a great guy.
So you got the Spanier stack. Is there something that is like your signature thing that like your go-to? I know I've seen you do the clamshell in the past. I didn't know if that was one of your, what's
yeah. No, honestly, there's no set rule. I mean, clamshell. I mean, it's been around way before I even picked up the camera. I've been in the business full time for 19 years. I've been in the business close to 24 years in total. I got into it through my family business, but what I learned from growing up in the industry, you gotta always pivot. You can't always set up the same lighting situation. It doesn't work always the same exact way. Whether you're inside or outside. Sometimes you just have to adapt, and also not even that. It's also you have to create something what your client really wants. Maybe, you know, they don't like this commercial look to the images. Maybe they want a little bit of light and airy. Light and airy is not really my style of shooting. Light and airy is kind of like, you know, you don't really see the blue sky anymore and everything is like a little bit blown out in that way. That's a personal style. My style is very vibrant. It has a lot of pop. That's more my style of shooting. And that's one thing when a client comes to us, you know, we're looking for this look. I'm like, that's not what we do, but I'm happy to recommend you to someone that will fulfill your vision and more.
Interesting.
So there's honestly, as long as I have the strobes in my cases, I will create something. Doesn't matter. It really, there's no set rule. I used to be that way. And then learning from other photographers and being on the field and making mistakes, I really saw there's no set rule.
Experience, the greatest teacher. Now,
exactly.
Joey is asking on this particular image before we move past it, where's the effect of the strobes? What is sunlight? What is what is sun? What is artificial light that you're getting the kick on? How much are you getting from the sun? How much are you overpowering?
Yeah. So we want to do like ratios. You know, the main dominant, it's weird because over here, when you look at the image, it kind of contradicts because over here, how he's lit is really flash. But when you go to her, she's under. But when you go to her, she's over. So it's usually about anywhere, depending on what I'm trying to capture and also depending what the client wants, it's usually about 60% of strobe and maybe the rest will be 40% available. Or if you want it a little bit more natural, it'll be like 40% strobe and the rest will be ambient. I'm not sure if I answered that question right. Derek, chime in if you feel like.
Yeah, that gives some help. And Joey, if there's something more specific you want, I know it's hard in these images, and I think that's part of the beauty of nailing lighting is really finding that balance between what's artificial and what is sunlight. When you have an image that you can't tell what's lit by what, I think that's a successful image.
Correct. So like on location, I like to use a light meter, by Seconic. We do work with them, but I've been using a light meter since during the film days. It's still one of the things that we use a lot on site, especially when it comes to commercial jobs. Weddings, not so much because we're always running gunning to a certain degree. But if you really want to be very accurate when it comes to lighting exposure, a light meter will actually help you get there. And also, that's how I learned to really read light. Just sitting at home and playing and understanding how a light meter works and how light works, how shadows, and also there's also a color meter. A color meter really understands, how much of that sun color tone do you want in that image, or how much of that blue light coming from the flash you want in there, or if you want to use a blue gel, a yellow gel, you're digesting into a whole different world when you really start understanding how that works. Like if you guys follow Lindsay Adler, she definitely has courses on, gels. And Derek, you agree, she's phenomenal and how she teaches. She knows her stuff, which is, not only technically, but also being an artist and also as an educator. So yeah, I'm a big fan of hers. So,
all that stuff plays in. I mean, I like what you said. It's not just technical; it's from an art perspective, and a lot of what gets incorporated into what we're all doing is stuff that's been around, ideas that have been around, practices that have been around for centuries. That we're everybody's just reinventing in their own way, and we're getting different gear that makes it easier to do it. We're getting AI that makes it too easy to do it. But it's all the same idea. Like no one's gonna reinvent a light angle that hasn't already been used in some way.
Correct. So that's like another thing like I love to share because there's no such thing as a secret. Like I don't, share. It's out there. It's information is out there. I mean, there's a lot of bad information out there, as we know, and there's actually a lot of good information out there. But when you understand the theory, understand, the fundamentals, you're fine. You go with the flow. Like again, like looking at the shot, like if let's zoom in, I think it might be a low res image. Yeah, it's low res. Zoom in. I can't zoom in. All right, there you go. So if you really look at it, we're just using two FJ400s for the shot. Now the question is, when you're shooting outside at this level, I mean, we're shooting at f18 at shutter speed 200 at ISO, I think 50 for the shot. And the thing is, his eyes were going dark. All right, we had to create some kind of fill into it. So we have another powerful flash in that way. And what we did was we brought in a reflector the silver reflector, and we try to light up those eyes. And this is how we got that catch light in the eye.
Is that what's up on the top right catch light, or the catch light on the right is the reflector?
So here, right over here, do you see
Right
my
there.
mouse?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
right
yep.
there. So that created. So now it looks like he's living. Like he's actually. It's not like you're watching the Walking Dead or one of those monster movies. You need to create a catch light. So they say what, I forgot the terminology. The way into someone's soul is the catch light or something in the eye. I'm butchering the saying, but I love creating catch light. So
well, yeah, I mean, you can nail the lighting, but if you don't have the catch light to go with it, it's like, wow, you went all the way and got the 99% down, but that 1% is what's holding you back from like that eye look. Where now did you just do I say traditional 45-degree lights coming from each side, camera left and right?
Yeah, let's analyze this photograph. Again, the best way to really analyze a photograph is look at where the shadows are. So now we have this shadow over here. Again, this is not retouched, all right? So we're shooting with the reflector on the flash. So it's going to create harsh shadows. So where the sun is coming from, you can see, first thing I look at the image, where's the sun coming from? The sun is lighting all this area up here and also over here. So we have one light that's camera left, shooting towards this direction. All right. And then we have another flash on camera right, which is almost a 45-degree angle from it. And this is how we get in the shot.
And then you're bouncing the sun with the reflector back into
to
get the catch light.
Correct. But believe it or not, we did not use we actually kind of bounced it from the flash.
Okay.
Yeah, because we need extra power to really kick in that light. And also like another reason for composition and stuff like that, the reason why we put him in here instead of in here, he would not stand out as much anymore. So that's why we put him in a dark area over here in the background. And
that sunlight, the sunlight is what's helping pop him off the background. So that's kind of acting as like your rim light or your hair light.
Exactly. So right now, so we have two strobes, right and left, and we have the sun coming in. That creates another light, which is 3 lights. So we're taking advantage of the sun in this scenario. All right. Perfect. But yeah, I mean, that was a shot. Again, it's a bodybuilding shot. They want to see the cuts. They want to see the muscles. At the end of the day, what I learned being in the fitness community, and which is mind blowing because when we get into the industry, we have to make the light soft in the face and make it like really appealing. Fitness community, they don't really care about that. They want to showcase the veins, the jaw lines, the cuts, the muscles. Like I didn't know this until I really, really started like doing these sessions. So that's what they care about. So
it's interesting how it's the same thing that you're doing when you're taking fashion shots, but it's a completely different thing that they set of criterion that they care about that you have to showcase.
It's wild. Yeah, it's freaking wild. They love they take the image and they love to bring up the clarity. I'm like, what are you doing to your body, your face?
Slide it to 100, add some texture.
Exactly. So yeah, let's go to the next image. I'm not sure if you guys saw this image. I did a campaign shoot for Canon for the 24mm RF, which is and if you guys saw this was an image for PPA. I made it in the Professional Photographers magazine, which is cool. And everyone kept asking me, like, how'd you get the shot? How'd you get the shot? So I figured, let me just showcase it on here, which I got to share later on my social. But we have Olga. She's a photographer. Well, that's one of the best parts. I have a lot of great, talented friends in the industry, Derek, and you agree with this. We have an amazing community. So we have talented friends. They're all good looking in some way or another. And I was like, listen, I got to do this campaign shoot. Would you be interested in coming out to Chicago? And she flew in from Sacramento. She's a phenomenal portrait photographer. You got to check her out. But I'll make sure I share her on social media. So follow her. But yeah, so for this shot, it was chaotic because it was windy. The boat was moving up and down. I had this new lens, which I think there were only two of those lenses in the States. And I had to create some cool imagery within a matter of a few days. No pressure, by the way. And I never used that millimeter before. And this is like behind the scenes, this shot with the cell phone. But look how far I'm putting the camera out to the water. So
do you have no camera strap on there?
Nah, just a hand strap. But
okay.
It would have been a good idea. To incorporate that, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So this is shot with the Canon R5, and we were using the transmitter from Westcott, and we're using the modifier. This is the Octa M. Yeah, and that was the shot. I purposely, I think I shot about like 3 stops under the whatever it was. So I think my exposure overall was shutter speed I think it was 200, ISO 100, and I think the available light was f11, but I shot it about f22. So it made everything a lot darker around her, and that's why she really just stands out and pops.
Do you ever go bigger than that modifier wise, or is that because I have that same softbox? I just want to make sure I can steal your whole look and style with what I have. Do I need, is that sufficient for most?
Oh yeah, honestly you're beyond fine with that. As long as you have an assistant with you, or someone that can bring the light in, or if you're shooting on location, that's all you really need. Again, the basics. Bigger the light source, softer it is. Smaller the light source, harder it is. So when you bring that light, and you'll see when I teach if anyone shows up to any conferences, if you guys go on WPPI, you'll see I'll bring in the modifier as close as here. All right. And then I'm cropping right there. And I have that beautiful soft light. And it doesn't matter. It could be, a 3-foot umbrella or modifier to all the way to a 7-foot umbrella. Yes, bigger the light source makes it softer. But when you're in a situation like this, when the boat is moving and it's windy, I can't bring a 7-foot, umbrella on there. My system will fly off. So, yeah.
And the light is, the sunlight is left of you. Looks
Yes.
like it's pretty high in the sky.
Yeah. So if you actually let's actually zoom in the video. You see you see the harsh shadows where the sun is coming from. Again, we're time of the day to shoot. Yep. Sometimes we just have to overpower. That's the beauty about using flash. Could I have done this for speed light? Yes. Can I overpower the sun with a speed light? Absolutely. I personally don't use high-speed sync, and for several reasons. One is that you're cutting in the power, you're losing a lot of power. Two, you're possibly also, depending on the system that you're using, you're shifting the color temperature. So it's not being accurate when you're constantly shooting, which it shifts. Which if you're shooting, let's say for example, a red dress like in this way, if you want to have it true red, you want to make sure that color temperature on that flash or whatever you're using is consistent, especially when you have whites in the shot as well. So now the question is, well, I can't afford a strobe. I'm like, save up a little bit and use it. If not, bring in the speed light as close as possible, and you'll still overpower the sun with no problem. I do teach a course on this and how to take advantage of the speed lights and other systems for that. But the question is, well, if I use a speed light, wouldn't it create like harsh shadows? Absolutely, because you have no modifier in front of it. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes you have to sacrifice certain things in order to make it work. And that's the beauty of part about what we do, is that's all experience. So for this is why I use the FJ400. I use this modifier, and I did not use the inner diffuser in the modifier. So I took it off because I wanted a little bit of the specular into it. And let me see. And you see the specular right in there. But again, that's more on my style. And yeah, now that sun coming from this angle is not there anymore. I mean, it's still there, but it's filling it in a little bit. But also keep in mind, light is bouncing off anything that's white. So
now Joey's asking about flash overexposing the skin with the sun plus the strobe. How do you handle the power? Do you rely mostly on the sun, and then the flash is kind of a supplement to fill in, or what's the thinking behind using sun, using artificial flash, not overpowering it? Obviously, where do you put the bulk of the power?
Okay, so guys, forgive me. I'm like a dog. I see squirrel, my attention goes there. So just being honest, all right.
We love you as is, man. We love you as is.
That's
it's
it.
real.
So yeah, I'm like the worst when it comes to interviews, and that's why I like to be on site. So the question is like, where is the gauge on what the exposure?
Like if are you going, okay, I got sunlight, hard sunlight, so I really want to rely on, as if I'm shooting natural, working with the sunlight, and I'm just going to provide a little pop of flash? Or is it, I'm going to go full on the flash and I'm going to overpower on the strobe and overpower the sun altogether? Are you working with the sun, or is it kind of, who's the star?
I sometimes work with the sun, but for this particular shot, I wanted to make sure the only thing that was overpowering was my flash. So
Okay.
again, that question kind of goes into what is the feel, what is the style that you're trying to create, where do you what do you want their attention to really go? You know, so that's up to you when it comes to it. But for me, on a rule of thumb, I already know when I'm going to be outside, and you guys can look this up on Google. You know, type in, the Sunny 16 rule, the F16 rule. If you look it up, it comes from the film days. I still measure light, or I use that as a guide when I'm on location. I already know if it's worst time of the day, the sun is coming down, let's say noon or 1 o'clock, it's already, F16, ISO 100, or I'm sorry, F16 traditional ISO 200 at shutter speed 200. So if you guys look this up, F-16 rule, type that into Google. That is my baseline for anything that I do. And this, I teach my team members this, I teach this at classes. It's just a guide. And from there, you kind of adjust in what you're looking to do. For this particular shot, I didn't use my light meter because, again, we were moving. You really don't see it in the video because with I guess the iPhone was doing the stabilization or IBIS. So hopefully that helps in some way, but I will use that as a guide. So.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
All right. So we went over that. All right. I think another thing as well is walking around walk around your subjects location. So if you're on location, once you set up the lighting how you want it, just work around. So this particular location, I was teaching something for Westcott at the university. You can find some more of these videos. But it was a cloudy day, nothing was going on. I set up a speed light in the back, which I'll show you some BTS of it. And then we had another salt box on camera right, and we just had a pose. And from there, I started walking around. So here's a quick little video.
Here's like another tip. Once you have your lighting set up, that's it. I purposely start walking around the scene in order to get more detailed shots. And because of that, for example, you ever get to a location that your client is late, or you're working with an event planner that says, you know what, you have an hour, but next thing you know, you have 5 minutes. This is how I get those shots.
So when you start walking around, I could get any possible shot, full length, quarter, tight, headshot, detail shots. So it's just understanding where the lighting is coming from. And this is more BTS, so you can see where the lighting is. All right. And the best way to practice this at home, just set up the lights. You don't have to be at a venue. Everyone thinks, oh, I need to be at a venue to test this out. I need to be at a cool location. No, if you could set up lighting in your home, whether it's it could be a 700 square foot apartment or smaller. If you could set up to make an image look dimensional in that little area, you could do this anywhere in the world. Doesn't matter inside or outside. All right. There's another thing as well, is like, it's something simple, just a ladder. We just walked around the subject. I set up the lighting how I wanted it. These lights did not move in any way. And these are the results I got from it. I just walked around the subject. So how do you get your exposure? Well, I'll get the overall exposure. So for example, if your camera's telling you shutter speed, let's say 200 at, I don't know, f4, that is my ambient lighting in the room. I'll incorporate flash into it. And so instead of me shooting, let's say f4, I'll probably shoot, depending on your taste, 5, 6.5, f8. If you want to make it really dramatic and make the background really darker, f8, f11, f22, that's your call. But this is kind of the idea behind it. All right, so this is just strictly speed lights. Of course, it was raining that day. What else is new? This is in Bali. And yeah, muggy. This is probably the only time you probably won't see my hair done up. If you see me at conferences, I'm always, I like to have my hair did. So very humid, very hot, but also I take advantage of also humidity and also the weather. So especially like during the cold season, when you go outside, when it's really, really cold, when you breathe out with your mouth, what happens? Heat, comes out. So I take advantage of that sometimes when I photograph my couples, and that creates a cool little glow when I do a backlight. But going to this little video, 2 speed lights, and this is using a mini deep umbrella.
Happy
So I'm using a Canon RF 15 to 35, 2.8.
3, 2.
And I'm asking her to lean towards the camera. And the final shot that I got was this.
Wow.
So the only thing that was done to it in post-production, we brought down the highlights a little bit, and we actually just brought up the greens a little bit, and that was it for the shot. So you can see the specular highlight from camera right. All right. Her eyes are lit up with the catch light. Let me see if I can zoom into it. I think this is yeah, you see the catch light? And that's all from yeah, from this light over here. So
and a general question, Will, because we did have Helen's asking on Vimeo, is there a way to know how high the softbox should be in relation to the subject? What decides where you're positioning the height, the direction, the angle?
Yeah, great question. So this what I was teaching for one of the booths at imaging is creating the best catch light. I'm not sure if you tune. I'm sorry. What is your name? What's her name?
It was for Helen.
Helen, what's up, Helen? So Helen, I don't know if you wear eyelashes, but you know what eyelashes when they're really, really, really long. So depending on the angle, you actually want to see where that catch light is coming from. So let's use this for an example. Let's see. Let's get a little creative over here. All right. There we go. I want to miss my flight, man. So we're gonna
look. We're at a couple minutes after 4. I'm gonna let you rock, man. You tell me.
No, we're going. We'll continue doing this in my Uber to the airport. It's fine.
There we go. I'm with it.
Helen, if you look at where my eye is, let's see if I can see it. You know, do you see a catch light in my eye right now? No, not really, because it's kind of my eyes are looking down. But if I bring my eyes up higher, do you see the catch light? So depending on where you position that light will play a part. So when you have it too high, you start losing the catch light. So you want to make sure if that's the catch light, you want to make sure it's dominant. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to anybody, let us know.
Yeah, if it doesn't, guys, you got to come to our conference. You know, there's only so much you can learn in a YouTube or a book or whatever. You need to be hands-on. I know people say, oh, you got to read books and YouTube. Look, that's great. But if you're not on site, you're not going to learn. I'm telling you right now, whatever I'm showing you guys is great, but you're going to really learn. If you ever come out to New York or if you see my team and I traveling, hey, I see you traveling out to, I don't know, Texas. Can I come and join you to be a bag holder? You're going to get the best experience ever because you're going to see stuff that when it's, poop hits the fan, that's when you're really going to see where that 1% shots. Because right now we're in a control environment. I could go over every possible detail, but at the end of the day, that's where you're gonna learn. So when they do a lot of these YouTube videos and showing a control environment, that's nice, but this one is another thing when you're on location really learning. So Helen, hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'd love to see you, love to meet with you, give you a big hug and show you some stuff in person. But again, positioning where you want, here's a look. Positioning where you want it to go. So I won't put it here because now it's a hair light. You bring it here further, then you start seeing the catch light in my eye. All right. That'll be the difference. Playing around all day. Yeah, a little bit more. All right. So, let me. I stopped sharing. Okay. All right. Perfect. I think we got a few more slides. So I think we're good for.
Perfect.
Yeah. So again. Yeah. No. We're good. We're good. All right. So going back to this, obviously, if you go to B&H, you get to see some of the stuff that I do use. I did put some. This is the 24-inch. That's the one I did for this shot. It's small. Nothing crazy, but when you bring that light closer, it softens it up. It's better than using just a speed light or a strobe with no modifier. All right. Listen, at the end of the day, we got to showcase is what we're offering, and we want you guys to buy. All right. At the end of the day. All right. Here's another example. This is just using one speed light. Nothing crazy. It was the angle, the leading lines, the dress, the walking. Yes, it was harsh light, as you can see over here, but we got the shot that we wanted. We set up a speed light over here. It was hanging off, and that was a shot. My assistant took the BTS shot. Same thing over here, camera left, harsh light. This is harsh lighting. But also, if you want it really harsh, you bring up either the shutter speed or you bring up the f-stop. So you start taking away some of the ambient lighting in the location, in the room. But if you want to bring more ambient into the room, or if you want to make it look like less flash, you have to let more ambient light into your camera. Make sense? A little bit? Maybe not? Yeah. All right. So, all right. So here's a quick video. Finishing up. So BTS. This is like, again, begin with the end in mind. I already knew before I even took out my equipment what I wanted to achieve and accomplish. So I set up a backdrop. I wanted to create something cool and different. And again, let me play it. So yeah, so that was pretty much during COVID, when the whole world shut down. I was freaking depressed for like a month and a half, and I just couldn't do anything. There's only so much Netflix you could watch, right? So much Hulu you could watch. And one day out of nowhere, I told my wife, I'm like, listen, I need to get out. I need to go do something. So I already had a vision, what I had in mind and what to do. We didn't use anything crazy. It was just a basic background and just the light. I mean, can you use any different light out there? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong about using post-production, retouching AI. But at the end of the day, you still have to have a vision. You have to create a story. There has to have meaning behind any of it. So yes, B&H, we're here to learn and also to hopefully sell some products. And that's always the goal, because at the end of the day, it's a business, right? So for you photographers out there, it's a business. Yeah, it's nice to have nice toys, but you still have to have a vision, and you have to make sure this gear works for you so you can make money in some way or another. So for me, I went out, I did this. It was kind of like I lit up a fire under my tushy, and that was it. I went back to work, and that's it. I started making more money, and that was the shot. All right. But yeah, that was the shot right here. And we printed a bunch of these out. We deliver them to hospitals and to showcase, hey, we just want to say thank you for what you do. And for me, that was something important for me to share to the local people that have been, helping us and keeping us safe. So yeah. That's awesome. All right. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, this is like a shot real quick. I think we're going to finish it up after this. We did use a speed light for this. This is actually two different images. We could have shot this available light. This is at the edge in Manhattan overviewing. People don't realize that there were a lot of people over here waiting to get the shot. Well, not this particular shot, because I had an assistant over here with the flash and with a speed light, and it helped us create this cool shot. If we did not use a speed light, if we would have just exposed for the sunset or the feel of the background, they would have been in darkness. They would have been dark. They would have been like this in this area over here. So we had an assistant hold the light, flash them, and from there, once they were done, they took a step out, and I took another picture, and we sandwiched that other image and this image together, and we erased the assistant out, and that was a shot. Wow. So again, I like to have vibrant images, and my clients love to have wall art that just pops out from the walls. And again, it's personal taste. Some people are like, well, I would have just exposed for them and would have lost the sky. It would have been white. That's a personal taste. That's your style. But this is more of my style of shooting. So, but I think that's really it. So
love it. Well, yeah. Will, huge thank you to you. Well, drop us. Where should we go? People were asking about if you have retouching courses. What kind of courses do you offer? Are they online? Where can we see you in person? What do you have going on coming up?
So coming up, did I stop sharing? Can you see my face?
We see your wonderful face. Best hair in the industry, by the way. If you guys haven't seen it in person.
I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it. Yeah, guys, I don't do the mentorship. I don't have the online classes, stuff like that. I like to actually go on the field at conferences. I love to connect. So you definitely see me at Imaging USA, WPPI, B&H, hopefully I'll be on site one day soon to do some photo walks. I speak for Canon on site depending on what we're doing. But yeah, just follow me on social media. I promise myself this year I'll be more active, so you get to see my wins and also not my wins, some of my failures. There's one thing about social media which is amazing. You get to see everyone shining, but no one talks about the headaches and the BS and I like to be real about that because in order to get to the tier where I am or where Derek is, that took years to get to that level. And everyone just thinks, oh, well, he has sponsors, or well, he has money, or no, it's the hard work that we put into it. And still to this day, still learning. I still pay my classes. I still educate myself. I allocate 3 weeks out of the year. I invest money on those business courses and lighting courses and wherever I am to go learn that. And also, it's hard work. I'm constantly educating myself. I'm constantly training, and I'm constantly paying my dues. So don't ever forget that, and never stop learning. That's one of my biggest things. Never stop learning, because once you stop learning, once you feel like you know it all, you're gonna be left in the back. And
great point. Invest in yourself, whether it's gear, learning. We should always be learning. We should. Yeah. I think once you feel you're too big to learn, that's where you get left behind. That's when you get left in the past.
Yeah, and also learn not to talk. Just listen, take in as much as you can. We might know more depending on the conversation, but it's nice to sit back and listen to the conversation, and let other people shine as well. Let them be seen. And again, this is a great community, and we should all rise together and be part of something really special, because it is. I got them at B&H. I'm giving you credit where it's deserved, but not sure if you remember Jessica Bruzzi Osil, that she works. So I was introduced by her by one of a Canon friend of mine, Joe Romeo. He's like, listen, I got to put you in touch with this girl at B&H, and you guys actually end up using one of my images at WPPI back in I think it was 2011, and she's like, you should really come to WPPI, and I'm like, I don't know, it's expensive. She's like, just do it. And thank God I did. I got on the flight. I went there for 3.5 days, and it changed my world. If it wasn't for being on site, meeting friends like yourself and other people and learning from them, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And I think that's the biggest thing, is giving credit where it's due, and also giving it back. So that's why I love to share what I do. And I'm not going to be rich and famous educating. That's not my thing. But if I could see at least one person grow and make money and do what they love, mission accomplished. So, awesome. But thank you, Derek, for having me on, and thank you everyone for taking the time. So thank you.
Yes, no, huge thank you to you. For those who are going to be at WPPI, where are you going to be? You're going to be in a booth? You're going to be speaking?
I got a photo walk. I am Westcott, of course. I think I might be doing something for Canon. I have to double check. Catchlight will be a backdrop. I'm gonna post everything on my social media. Just follow me there. And if you guys have any questions, just reach out. Love to meet you guys. I'm a big hugger, so give me a hug. Make sure you're not sick to give me a hug. So
perfect.
Yeah, but thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you to you. If anybody's looking where to find me, up at the lobby bar, Excalibur.
Oh yeah.
I will be there though. That's my on the low spot. Don't blow it up.
Well, I hope I get to see you and Stephanie. So I'd be love to see you.
We will. We'll come swing by. It's always great to see you on the show floor.
Cool.
And look, to all of our viewers out there, thank you guys for tuning in, for listening to us and making this interactive. We really do this for you guys. This is why we provide free education. But like Will said, sometimes it's better to know when not to talk. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you guys do your thing. We're going to let Will catch his flight. Huge thank you to JC, the team at Westcott, everybody over there. JC,
guys, wait
in the industry.
I got to post this in the next few hours, as long as I make it to my flight.
There you go.
Bye, guys. Bye, Derek. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Have a safe trip, Will, and we'll catch you guys on the next edition of the B&H Virtual Event Space.
Love it.